welcome you guys. I think certification is a really important part of how I became the farrier I am, and it offers a great outline for education and learning to look at the horse piece by piece, and the certification certainly breaks down every element of the job for us. We're going to do this as if it was actually a testing location, and David's going to do a journeyman run on 1 foot, and Lucas will do a certified run on 1 foot. You are allowed to remove the shoe prior to the exam. You should not be using a rasp or anything that's going to alter the hoof wall to break clinches. You can use a clinch cutter, but don't change the hoof capsule as you're taking the shoe off. Wire brush is fine. And then it's really important that you go ahead and take advantage of having the examiner or the tester who's there take a look at your shoe or your feet before you get started, so that they know where you started with, and that can actually help you and be an advantage to you with your scoring system as it goes. I think it's important that you also know this book inside and out, know the rules, as well as the people who are using this book to evaluate and score your work. And one page I find really, really helpful, especially for testers and examiners when they're trying to determine what number do you give a specific structure or element of the test, is on page 39. And it says the following numerical scores are used on the score sheet. Scores from 8 to 10 will improve the horse during the shoeing cycle. A score of 7 will neither improve nor be detrimental to the horse during the shoeing cycle. And a 4 to 6 will become detrimental during the shoeing cycle. And a 1 to 3 is detrimental right now. And we know that a number 3 score is an immediate stop, as well as a 2 or a 1. And also blood. We don't want to see blood, but there's the opportunity that maybe you drag a hoof pick through some thrush and blood develops. Those are things that you're going to want to talk about with your examiner or your tester immediately, and then that's going to be a specific situation where that's determined whether it's a detrimental stop or not. So I took a look at the job before David started. He's got his knife out and immediately addressing his sole. So I'm going to just talk about the description of the sole. And a number 10 is the sole is pared smooth, if necessary, to an appropriate sound depth. The bars and sole have not been weakened by excessive rasping or paring, and the seat of the corns are pared to a non-weight bearing. And then any varying degree of perfection beyond that 10 would receive a score of a 9, 8, 7, 6 on down, depending on the degree of error. A 3 is when the sole is pared too thin and yields under light thumb pressure. If your sole yields prior to your work, you might want to make sure that's known to your tester or examiner. Then he moved on to his rasp and flat. Oh, that's not a score yet. Oh yeah, it is. Here it is, number 1. Flat, 10. The entire hoof is on an even plane. 8, 6, 4, or other numbers in between there are varying degrees of unevenness, which could be corrected without harming the horse. And a 3 would be nipping or rasping as rough and uneven around the entire hoof wall with no level surface apparent. I didn't see him trim the frog, but I'm sure he addressed it. The frogs on this horse were, they're not real proud and real bold, but a 10 is going to be the frog is pared, if necessary, to be neat and smooth. The heel bulbs are smooth and free of burrs. 8, 6, 4, and the other numbers in between are varying degrees of error and paring, which could be corrected without harming the horse. And a number 3 is the frog has been pared excessively, exposing sensitive structures which could cause lameness. David's doing the wall dressing right now, and the 10 would be the wall is straight. All dishes and flares have been removed smoothly from the coronary band to the ground, or at least the bottom 2/3 of the hoof. The thickness of the hoof wall should be uniform. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Those would be varying degrees of error. Dubbing or over or under dressing of dishes and or flares, which could be corrected without harming the horse or endangering secure nailing. As soon as David's finished with his trim, he would let his horse handler know. They would raise their hand, and then a tester or examiner would evaluate the work. Allowing time for the tester and the examiner to look at your work is very important in your routine and in your timing. At some point, I'm sure David looked at the balance of the foot. A 10 would be the horse is standing in the middle of the hoof, and the ground surface or the hoof wall is trimmed perpendicular to the center line of the hoof capsule above it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4 are varying degrees of error in balance, which could be corrected without harming the horse. And 3, one side of the hoof wall is lowered to a point that correction is not possible without laming the horse or restoring to the use of shins. Angle is something else that he evaluated while he was working, and the angle for a 10, the farrier has made every effort to make hoof and pastern angles parallel. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 are varying degrees of error in the angle, which could be corrected without harming the horse. 3, the hoof deviates from the pastern angle due to poor nipping and or rasping. It cannot be corrected by further nipping or rasping at this time. Length as well. A 10, the hoof is cut to an appropriate sound length. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. There are varying degrees of error in length that could be corrected without harming the horse. And a 3 below would be the hoof is cut excessively short or left too long and cannot be corrected at this time. Does anyone have any questions about the trim scores?
Got the cue, yeah.
Right there? No? You're looking for me? Yeah, we need propane too.
We need propane in here.
Propane? So needy. So needy.
I'll do mine.
Lucas just said he'll do his cold, and that actually is an option if you want a cold shoe with a certified job. It is possible to do.
I've passed many.
Lucas says he's passed many with cold shoe jobs. Lucas brought up the point earlier about if a frog is real fleshy, that we need to remember we're not doing a therapeutic job necessarily, we're doing a skills test. And to be conscientious that you're not trying to maybe show off and show how much you can cut off or adjust, that you're following the guidelines that are outlined in this book. Correct. The question is, after the trim has been done, you cannot alter the hoof capsule after your trim has been scored. And I have a marker in my pocket, and I'm going to take and make a line, and all examiners and testers will do this, make a line around the perimeter of the hoof wall, all the way to the heels and around inside the commissure, so that we just have some sort of a tool that allows us to see that you have not altered the hoof after your trim has been made. After your shoe has been fit, burned, and your nailing is finished, that marker can be gone at that point, but it needs to be there during the shoe fit scores.
Who's got the crickets?
Certification offers a great education, and even if you're not at a point where you're ready to go ahead and jump in and take the test, you're still encouraged to attend the tests. There's always horse handlers and things like that are needed. Maybe if you can get in a position of a scribe is an excellent place to help understand and continually keep reviewing all the different aspects of each section of the exam. Right. The question is, if there's a problem with the hoof and that you cannot fix, how do you address that? You're encouraged to leave it dirty. Do not clean. If there's missing spot of hoof wall and there's dirt evident in there, leave it there. If you go ahead and clean that all out, they can't see that you didn't go in with your knife or your rasp or something and create it yourself. Well, either one. If you take the dirt out, I don't know that it was already there. Yeah, and that's why it's really important to have your tester or examiner look at the feet, and if you have a spot that, hey look, I got a problem right here, make sure that you bring it up and address it, but then don't go own it afterwards, leave it that way. Out here to watch this demonstration, and I was brought to certification from somebody who had been through the program, and I encourage you guys to also bring somebody to the program with you. And you make these networks and these friends, and you feed off of each other, and you share each other's experiences and educations, and it will help you excel. It's that shared thinking that happens faster if you're doing it together with somebody else. The times you spend traveling on the road where you discuss situations you've been in and making the friendships and the networks that will last your lifetime. I enjoyed certification. Yeah, I felt all the pressure. Yeah, I was worried about it and all that, but looking back on it, it was some of the greatest times going to the exams, meeting the different people, seeing other people's works, and the memories I made. And I was disappointed when I had achieved my journeyman to the extent that now what was I going to do? So it didn't take long before I figured out I could go ahead and volunteer and get back into the program that I had taken so much from, and then began serving as a provisional tester and a tester, and now serving as an examiner, giving back to the industry that I benefited so many things from. Carry on into other parts of the association as well. If it's not certification, maybe it's research or some other element of our association, and stay active with it. The other thing is, certification has been evolving since its beginning. It keeps improving, and things are dialed in, and definitions are more clearly defined, and rules are added, and the whole process keeps evolving. So when you go to somebody who's already passed certification, maybe 15 years ago, their experience might be a little bit different than the experience you're going to have, because we keep improving everything as time passes on. And make sure that your most current, the information you're using is the most current available, and that stuff is all going to be printed on the website. And even if you read something in the book, check it against the website and make sure that that's still current and the most up-to-date information you have available. Quality and their fit section. And Lucas has made a selection of the shoe he's going to put on the foot, and I think it's important that you choose the proper shoe, not just what you had in the truck, the proper shoe according to the confirmation of the hoof capsule, how thick the hoof wall is, where the nail placement is in those shoes, other things that matter. And David is determining how much length of steel he's going to cut coming up with his plan for building the shoes.
So you should definitely
Check
want
again.
to do as much practice inside the shop as you can so that you get your times down, and then you need to figure out. You know, my weakness was to mine was on the foot. What I mean was that I could not get a nice foot fast enough. Some people are really good at that, so my strength was working. So I knew exactly how much time it took me to get a pair of shoes, and I think I had it down to 10 minutes. So I knew that I could spend a little bit more time on it if I needed to. And then it's how you go around the horse. You know, never be waiting. I see a lot of individuals, a lot of candidates, they'll trim the front feet, go over, mark their steel, lollygag around while the steel's getting hot. You know, you've got to come up with a game plan so you're always moving. You know, maybe get your front feet dialed in, get a measurement, go to your hind feet, or get your front shoes marked, or whatever works for you. But this will work for me. I did my front feet, got them all dressed and measured, did one hind foot, dressed and measured, and so while the front shoes were heating up, I trimmed up the last one. So I had the horse forward by the time I actually got to making my shoes. And hind feet were easier, so I did those last. I didn't have to keep a photograph in mind. You know, I tried to set it up real easy to fit. Kind of did the same thing up here. Measurements are going to be different for everybody. You know, some people might measure length, width, and add or subtract. I typically use circumference, fit where I want it to fit, and then subtract that measure from quarters. So I left myself a little playroom on the back half of the foot. So if my feet buttons are really long, I can fix that with the curve right there, then I know what to do. You saw me take the calipers, measure me between the central sulcus and the buttress of the heel. That's where I'm going to put my toenails. So as I come around and I tried to build a foot that was relatively easy to fit. It was kind of already there, but I did a couple little minor things. And then when I come around and I bring my heels around, back half of the shoe around, if they line up somewhere near where my toenails are, we're actually pretty close to my feet. So that's that kind of something over here is what I was thinking about. So obviously we didn't have good time management here, so we didn't have a propane chop top. Anyway, so we're getting going. If there's any other questions, please ask. We'll try to
Something else that's in the book, and your tester or examiner would question you before you start your test, is what sort of a fit you're going to call. Currently in the book, we have an A, B, and C fit, and they can mark down on your paper which fit you're calling. And then you intend to shoot the foot with what you told them you would do. If it were me, I would call B, and I would have a little bit of play either way, and I could take a point of a hit, if you will, one way or the other, call it a B fit, and that gave it a C fit or an A fit. I might lose a point versus I called the C fit and I gave it an A fit. I'm losing more points that way.
Thank you.
So Lucas is shaping his shoe up, and when he gets into the tester, they're going to look at, is the shoe flat? Is it flat on all aspects? Looking at the shoe and rotating it around heel to toe, side to side, making sure it is dead flat. Maybe laying it out to flat and checking. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 are going to be varying degrees of flatness, error in flatness, which could be corrected with additional or better work. And 3 is the shoe is grossly out of flat and should not be nailed. Certified jobs are not required to put a clip on their shoe, but if they choose to, there's a score for it. And the clip would, and on the journeyman shoe, there are 12 clips on front, quarter clips behind. A 10 is the clip is properly located, it's fixed to base, the paper is to a thin peak, it's not sharply pointed, it has no fold shuts on the back side, and the source hole is appropriately sized. And then you would have varying degrees of error, location, thickness, paper, width, height, certified job, that's going to go hand in hand with the shoe selection. And on the journeyman job, the nail holes are properly located from toe to quarters and are evenly spaced unless prevented by hoof conditions. 987654 are varying degrees of error in location of holes which are not justified by hoof conditions. So nail hole location is where they are in relationship to the range from the toe to the quarter. On 3, there is a gross error in location of nail holes. Nail hole position is where the nail hole is in the web of the shoe. The 10, the nail holes are located over the white line. 987654 are varying degrees of error in depth, which result in too fine or coarse of nail. The use of nail holes will not result in injury or harm to the Number 3 is use of nail holes will result in injury to nail hole shape and coloring. The coloring starts before the toe nail and past the heel nail. The depth of the coloring remains the same for all nail holes. Position of coloring in the web allows nails to exit over the white line. The coloring on head stamp, crystal hole fits the nail as appropriate pitch. The web of the shoe is not wider where colored than through the toe of the shoe. 97654 are varying degrees of error resulting in severe nailing. The shoe is not properly forged to maintain width of the web. And a 3 or less are bad features predominantly, and the shoe should not be nailed on the hook.
also just got to get it nailed on, got to get it clinched. It's okay to take a point here and there, especially since I know I've gained points elsewhere. So, go to the test.
Yeah, you can spend a couple extra minutes working on one element, one score, trying to improve that, and then treat yourself the opportunity to have the time to address the different elements. Could backfire on you. You have to know when you can take your lump and just keep going. So the question is, what if you come up just a tiny bit short on the management run? Can you pencil your heels and stretch your scale in order to cover those heels? If you don't cover your heels, you're out, right? Automatic 3, if the foot is not covered, so it serves the foot. So you're going to take a gig on your forging, right? Because you did not maintain the stop. You can't do it. Make sure you got it. I might have to give you a 5 for that, depending on how pencil you definition for A, B, and C that will receive a 10. A is expansion equal to 1/16 flat surface, no boxing. B is expansion equal to 1/8, 1/16 flat surface, and 1/16 boxing. And C is expansion equal to 3/16, 1/16 bearing surface, and 1/8 boxing surface. 98765 and more are varying degrees of order in providing room on the chip for expansion. 3, 2, and 1. There is too much or too little expansion. Hoof wall has been removed to simulate expansion. And that's where that marker comes into place. I got a feeling, even though I neglected my marker, David and Lewis are not going to try and pull past me right here. Field length. The correct length varies with hoof combination. Candidates must select field length and expansion categories prior to selecting and building fit shoes. All field length categories, A, B, and C, will maintain 1/16 of flat bearing surface, with the remainder of length boxed. Same as the expansion, a 10. For an A fit, length is equal to 1/16 flat surface, no boxing. B is length equal to 1/8, 1/16 flat surface, and 1/16 boxing. C is equal to 3/16, 1/16 of flat surface, and 1/8 of boxing. 98765 and 4, there are varying degrees of error in fitting height increments of 1/16 on the front half of foot or fit, e.g. toe too wide or narrow, branches not following or bent, toe shifted or moved by varying degrees of weight. 3. Heels are excessively long, which can cause injury to the horse. This is a really important rule. An automatic fail if the heels are not covered. Even by a smidge, they must be covered. Or, another important thing, more than 3/8 of flat steel past the bearing surface of the foot, excluding boxing. Clip fit, a 10. The receiving hole in the hoof wall fits the clip that is drawn. The clip is within the perimeter of the hoof and the clip hole. 98765 There are varying degrees of error in the fit of the clip to its receiving hole. 3, 2, and 1, there are gross error in fitting the clip to the receiving hole. The nail height. 10. Nails exit the wall 1/3 the height of the wall at the heel nail and ascend towards the toe. They are 2/3 the distance from the coronary band to the ground, unless the hoof warrants fewer or more, and it is determined by the candidate and approved by the examiner. 98765 and 4 are varying degrees of error in exit height of the nails. 3, 2, and 1, there is extreme error in exit height of nails.
With nail height on this inside hoof on the front right, I had a hard time getting around those old nail holes. So it was a decision I decided or I made to just drive those nails, take those points on nail height, and because I knew my fit was good, and I know it's a passing job. It's not a 10, but it's definitely a 7 on average. He wanted some clarification about the clip fit. A 10, the receiving
flush at the same angle as the hoof wall all the way up? Or does the tip of your clip stand out? Or only the base fits, and as it gets to the height of the clip, it becomes more proud? Those are going to be varying degrees of error. Your clip should fit right in, just like a key.
And I guess what's more my question is, when you run the band over the top of it, how is that? Like, if it's not saw exactly where you put it, am I going to get clean on that?
If I run my hand over it with a pantyhose and I can't snag a pantyhose, that's a 10.
Sure.
Right? But if I can barely feel it, you know, well, maybe that's a 9. If it's, geez, it's in on this side, but it's not in on that side. It's got radius to this side of the clip, but that side's real flat and proud. Well, how proud? So that's going to be, have to actually have that clip to be able to tell you, well, that's a 7 or that's a 9 or whatnot. But ideally, you want to aim for your 10 and then know if you're going to take a lump on it. Absolutely, the entire clip. Depth of it and the radius of it. The radius of it should mirror the radius of your hoof capsule or coronary band, shape of your shoe as well, right?
I see a lot of bad clip fit scores when guys cut that hole out too much with their knife, and then their clip's not that big. So then you have like where it'll fit flush like you're talking about, height and everything, but you can see the width is a little wider than that clip is. And even though sometimes you can't, yeah, exactly, you can't feel those grooves sometimes, but it is a cosmetic error that does not match the description of a perfect 10. So then it may not be a 6 or a 5, but it'll probably be like a 7 or an 8. Unless it's really wide, then it might be a 6 or a 5. But like a good point you made earlier, sole relief being an easy 10, don't worry about those 1 or 2 points here and there like that. Make sure you get that nice 10 on the sole and 10 on flat wall contact. Things that are easy, especially after hot shoe, burning that foot, getting that perfect match between the shoe and foot. Those are easy 10s, so that if you do get a 5, it cancels out, right? So play the game. There is some strategy involved to pass the test, efficiently, that is.
If I had a bigger window in my clip or in my hoof than what my clip is, it could cause the shoe to shift within that. The idea of the clip is to help stabilize the shoe in its position, right? So then maybe refer back to that page I initially spoke about, 39. 8 to 10 is going to improve the job during the shoeing cycle. A 7 is not going to do any good or any bad. And a 4 to a 6 could become detrimental. So if a clip fit is going to allow the shoe to slop around in the shoeing cycle, it could be detrimental. Maybe it's a 6 then. Does that clarify it a little bit better? Nail height. Okay, nail alignment. 10. The nails exit the hoof wall in a straight line and are parallel to the coronary band. 987654. Varying degrees of error in the alignment of the nails. 3, 2, and 1. There's an extreme misalignment in the nails, which may result in injury to the horse or an insecure nailing job. The clinches. 10. All clinches are square, set into the wall, and alignment with the nail shaft. Same as the clip fit. We want the clinch set flush with the hoof wall. You can run a paint over it and not snag. 987654 are varying degrees of error in clinching. Overblocking, for example, wrapped, ragged, or the rasp and weakened too thin. A 3, 2, and 1, our clinches may not hold the shoe securely for a serviceable period. Finish. 10. The hoof wall is smooth and hoof wall dressing should not exceed above 2/3 of the height of the hoof wall. The hoof and shoe have no sharp edges. All clinches are tight to the wall with no sharp edges. The clinches are well fitted into the wall. There is no evidence of rasp marks or over gouging under the clinch. 98765 and 4 are varying degrees of error in finish of the hoof wall with the rasp. 3, 2, and 1, the hoof wall is rough, excessively rasped, and not straight due to rasping. There are sharp edges on shoe or hoof which could harm the horse.
But anyone that's truly looking to do the certification in the near future, please get one of these books. And any tester cannot score anything outside of this book. There's no opinion, I guess the opinion of the varying degrees, but most of that should be self-explanatory. But read these descriptions, read the details, and know it almost better than the tester. Because then there's no questions asked, you'll have confidence with yourself, and you'll know what they're going to ask you to do, and there will be no surprises. But are there any questions today?
Appropriate to the foot. So,
No, that's a great question. So the question was, does it have to be 6 nails? And most of the time, yes. If the foot can handle 6 nails, then yes, it would need 6 nails. If you talk to the tester, which everyone would before they start, before they begin, bring that up to the tester. If you see something like that, well, it does 2 things. 1, it saves time. But 2, it lets the tester know that you know what you're looking for. But the other thing, I've seen some smaller feet come in for like journeymen, they've only 4 nailed. So that is between the tester and you and the horse. But please ask before you begin. Don't wait till the middle.
I encourage you to, when you get your book, or if you have your book, make yourself a bunch of copies of the score sheet out of the back and take it to work with you. And evaluate your own work. Do it a couple times a week or once a day if it's possible. As much as possible is going to be to your advantage. And then you'll find that it's pretty hard to evaluate your own work, and you'll start looking for deeper definitions or deeper understanding so that you can give yourself a number and be honest with yourself.
For sure, you definitely get people around. My uncle, I was very blessed to have him as a mentor, but we would work hard all day long, and that last horse would always slow down, and he would score it. I never liked the scores at that point, but it was good lesson learning, and it was someone else evaluating my score as well as my own judgment. So it brings a second pair of eyes, and that's where we really learn. So please, any other questions?
I at least didn't see you guys use a sanding block or anything like that. Are we allowed to use that in order to make it look a little better?
No, that's a great question. So are you allowed to use a sanding block? And by all means, yes. If it gets you a better finish.
We just didn't have one, so.
So yeah, we didn't have one, but it's also not going to fail you if not. You don't have to have that. That's just kind of icing on the cake, if you will. But yes, you are allowed. But also, don't waste time just doing the sanding block either. You know, it'd be better to go back, look at your clinches, look at your fit, make sure you didn't miss that heel just by a smidge bit. And because if you had to tap that back versus sanding, you know, that low pass is a lot better than a hard fail, right?
Don't feel like you have to practice the entire exam when you are practicing. My everyday work is practice. I carry a timer on my toolbox, and when I started my trim, I'd set my timer. And when I was done with my trim, I'd look and I'd know, it takes me 3 minutes to trim that foot, or I'm at 6 minutes, I need to tighten up my time there. Just practice elements of it, just like every competitor practices just elements of a shoe building. When I was doing my journeymans, I'd practice a pair of feet, not the entire horse. And when I got frustrated and I didn't want to build any more shoes, that's when I built the stake turner. And if you watched my presentation yesterday, you're still working on hammer control and understanding where your metal's moving and what your reactions are. So find creative ways of practicing. Don't allow yourself to burn out by thinking you have to do an entire go on the entire job.
Great advice, and as journeyman as well, time your shoe building. So get in the shop, time yourself, see how long it takes you to do a set, and then when you go to the horse the next day, time yourself how long it takes you to shape that shoe to that foot. So yes, break it down.
You know then when you're at the test, I got 3 minutes on that foot, I got 3 minutes on that foot. You go to the fire, you know you're gonna be building your pair of shoes in 20 minutes. You don't have to worry about the clock, what time is it? Also, if you feel like you're getting ahead and you're like, man, this is rolling really good, I'm cruising, I can slow down, I can breathe a little bit. No, you can't. Keep going. Because if you do that, you'll find out that you just shot yourself in the foot and all of a sudden you ran out of time when you were ahead of the game and then you ran out of time because you got a little too casual maybe.
Happens every time. And timing yourself, like just knowing how long it takes you to finish a foot, that'll answer your question about sanding block. So if you're finishing one foot, sanding on it, you only got a minute left, but you know it takes you 2 minutes to clinch and finish. Stop sanding.
When I did my journeyman run, I was practicing for an hour and a half at home. I had it written on the chalkboard, how much time for trimming the feet, how much time for shoe building, how much for nailing and finishing, and I was practicing an hour and a half at home, and I have no idea what happens to the other half hour, but it disappears. Adrenaline does kick in and help you in some ways, but I also didn't have an examiner or tester in my job while I was practicing at home, so that I know some of the time went to them, and some of the time, I don't know where it goes.
No, and I think sometimes the anxiety cancels out that adrenaline.
Yeah, true.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yes.
Yes. Do the examiners like to see, say, you get two nails in? Do they give you a hit on adjusting that after so it slides on you a little bit? You hit the heel or how much of that are you allowed to do?
As long as it nails up and fits in that time, yeah, you can. That's what I had to do on that shoe. I was tapping it around, and yeah, I wouldn't do it here if you're not allowed to do it there. Good question though. You're not supposed to modify the shoe after nailed on, but you know, right, shifting it. I always set one nail in where I can, and if I like it, I'll drive the other two. But once you get 3 nails in it, it's pretty locked in. But no, that's a good question. Any others?
Any other questions? Do you want to invite anyone to come up and look at the job?
Yeah.
If you'd like to come and look at the job, just be considerate and use your horsemanship around the animal, and we can answer some questions specifically up here if you have some.
Check it.